It starts in a split second. A toy breaks, a limit is set, and suddenly a child erupts into a full-blown meltdown. For a parent standing in the blast radius, the biological urge is immediate. Overpower the noise, assert control, and shut the chaos down as quickly as possible. We instinctively read the screaming and throwing as a calculated attack. We assume the child is testing boundaries, being difficult, or engaging in a deliberate battle of wills. Misdiagnosing a sensory or emotional collapse as tactical defiance guarantees the adult will choose a response that escalates the crisis. When we feel challenged, we reach for traditional discipline. We enforce timeouts, raise our voices, isolate the child, or use physical intimidation to force compliance. But the child is drowning in sensory and emotional overload. Punitive threats pour physiological gasoline on a nervous system that is already on fire. This flowchart illustrates a destructive loop known as the cycle of shame. The child expresses distress, the parent reacts punitively, and the child internalizes that reaction as proof that they are unloved and unsafe. You cannot teach a moral lesson to a human being who is actively terrified. The punishment simply breeds more fear, creating a self-perpetuating loop of conflict. Aggression is a symptom. Beneath visible outbursts lies a complex layer of invisible emotional drivers. Decades of observation by psychologists like Mary Ainsworth revealed that early relationships build a child's literal blueprint for feeling safe in the world. Unable to express sleep deprivation, intense sensory overload, or sudden social anxiety, that unmet need fractures their sense of security. A meltdown is a distress beacon. It's a deeply biological mechanism a child uses to signal their caregiver that their internal systems are failing. During these moments, the child's brain has literally entered a physiological threat state. Researchers like Daniel Siegel have mapped exactly how this happens, proving our interpersonal relationships physically shape the architecture and regulatory capacity of the developing mind. This diagram shows the brain mid-meltdown. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic, reasoning, and impulse control, goes dark. Simultaneously, the emotional survival centers flare with intense activity. During a threat state, the biological hardware required to process logic simply shuts down. Humans are wired for right brain to right brain communication. We subconsciously broadcast our internal emotional states to the people around us. Dysregulation is a biological contagion. A child's distress transmits a high-stress signal directly into the parent's nervous system, triggering a mere threat state. Reacting with anger bounces that signal right back to the child, doubling its intensity and locking both brains in a closed loop. By losing their temper, the caregiver accidentally becomes a biological antagonist. Instead of diffusing the emotional bomb, they arm it. The only way to break the loop is a process called co-regulation. The adult must manually override their own biological panic and serve as an external anchor for the child's nervous system. It requires deliberate physical action, dropping down to eye level, softening your posture, taking a deep, audible breath to manually slow your own heart rate. That calm physical presence broadcasts a new signal of safety, which triggers the release of bonding hormones like oxytocin in the child's brain, counteracting the stress chemicals. Emotional comfort provides the specific neurochemical environment a child needs to regain their baseline. You validate the emotional struggle without endorsing the destructive action. You can hold a firm boundary, saying, "I see you're angry, but I won't let you hit." Connection must precede correction. It is a physiological sequence that cannot be bypassed. Behavioral limits only function once the child's brain has returned to baseline. Enforcing rules from a place of calm safety gives the developing brain the repetition it needs to wire long-term impulse control and resilience. Children naturally want to cooperate and succeed. By meeting their biological need for a secure attachment, we give them the physical capacity to actually do it.